Hello and welcome to World Have Your Say. I'm Anand and we're coming to you from the Indian capital, New Delhi. It's a very cold night. It's just after 11:30 here, very dark, but we're actually sitting in a room with about 25 people who've braved the cold, who've braved the weather to come out and to share their views in the wake of the events of the past 3 weeks, the terrible gang rape and the subsequent death of a young woman that's engulfed India in debate about gender, about violence, about justice, about society, about values and morals. One of the things that you all have been bringing up is where this problem is coming from, where the responsibility lies, who's to blame. So I want to pick up on that theme.
I would like to comment upon few issues. One particular thing. Here, I just would like to give my example. My father was in army, and we were posted to different small cantonment areas. Now, we were in a school, and we few friends faced sexual harassment from a teacher. Not only teacher, but there was a major who was a doctor. He was a dentist. Kind of a sexual harassment from him. Whenever we visited him, the way he used to touch us. So we had stopped going.
So from respected
So
people.
that is from a very respectable family, very educated, and in spite of the fact like this is happening now, these things happened even 20-25 years back.
To me, the most heartening part of this entire agitation, as well as many earlier agitations, as someone involved with the women's movement for the last 3 decades, I can say, even now, at least 60% of protesters on any given day were male. They came on their own. And it's not as if they tried to dominate the scene. In almost all public protest rallies that I saw, it's women who would be the speakers, but men did a lot of mobilization. And it touched them deeply enough to brave police batons, tear gas shells, false cases, all that. To my mind, there are two important factors: a lawless police and a dysfunctional judicial system.
Now, one aspect is education. If we think that education will solve the problem, I come from Delhi University. I've been there for 8 years. In best colleges, there are number of cases of molestations. So that is something to think about. Another thing is culture. Again, I mean, we're not just talking about rape, we're talking about all kinds of sexual harassment. And in that we can see that today when girls are coming out, I mean, we are facing harassment in public spaces. So if you're talking about earlier culture, stable culture, older communities, their girls were inside the house. So there, if you see, I'd just like to make a point, is that what about those girls who even in that period were raped? You know, that stable culture will ignore them. What about widows? That stable culture will ignore them. So the point, so my answer is 100% equality, 100% democracy. If anybody interferes, the whole society should completely take action. That is the answer, I think.
Well, all the reasons we've heard today are true in varying degrees and measures. It's heartening to hear from her how even more developed countries have a higher degree of incidents. But building on Manushi's point, it's a basic lack of fear of law and penalties and punishment here that is leading to repetition of such behavior. And that is the fundamental issue. And the problems are not going to disappear, but if compliance were better, it would go along.
I'd like to add to Srikant's point. It's a fact that, yes, tougher penalties and laws would be a huge deterrent, but I have a slightly different perspective to this. I think economic empowerment is very important because in India, respect is associated with how much money are you bringing in. So it comes back to the fundamental question.
But tougher penalties.
Can I just make my point, please? Yeah. So I think respect is. This comes down to the fundamental question of respect. So even though we say that, okay, yes, we respect our mothers and our sisters, yes, we do. But when it comes to taking an opinion on a serious question or a serious problem in our life, we always go to our fathers. That's because mothers or sisters or women, economic empowerment opportunities for them have been very restricted. politicians and political parties have not recognized women as a lucrative constituency.
But
that
that's
is why
not, that's not necessarily true. If you see, in India, we are in a phase of transition right now where two types of India exist, which is Bharat and India.
Right.
And there's a clash over there. So that clash is it's not going anywhere. It's going to stay here for a long time.
So what point do you disagree
and
with?
I disagree with the fact that you're saying that mothers are you don't take a mother's permission. I come from a family where every decision had to
See,
pass
I'm
through
not
mother.
talking about a, I'm not
family.
I'm not talking about a personal opinion here or a personal incident here. I'm talking about Bharat here. When you go down to the villages and when you go down to the rural areas, you will see that a man has more financial control. Most of the women in villages don't even have bank accounts. They are dependent on their spouses for even basic things and basic purchases. So that's my perspective.
I think
that
just economic empowerment can't be a factor. You can't single out as a factor because the basic issue comes
so
to that.
economic empowerment.
Just a second.
Economic
No,
empowerment.
there can be.
There should be no harassment.
There can be.
So by that logic,
Yeah.
in America or in England, where almost every woman is earning,
Yeah.
there should be no rape.
Right.
There should be no sexual
I
harassment.
agree with that point. The point I want to tell is that when we try to fix responsibility, one is after the event has happened. There, whatever you have said about fixing the criminal justice system and all these things happen. But the root cause where we should fix the responsibility is in the response and in the perception of the male towards the female. And that happens.
Absolutely.
And that happens at the stage of growth when they have a particular reference group and they have their particular socialization process. And what I feel is that today the reference groups that our youngsters are getting or our boys are getting and particularly from the media is a very commodified version of women.
I think I have to say one very important thing that people present here are time again talking about value system and respect. I have tremendous problems with this word respect, and I think the root cause of all this, harassment, sexual violence, and rape. All lies with this, this whole idea of respect, that we women are the center of respect for the family. So if we run away with our partners, we bring shame to our family. So we need to
In
question
all
the whole
this
idea of
debate-
respect, I think.
We really need to do a kind of self introspection as to why such incidents takes place in bigger cities where we have more educated people, we have more wealthy people. These incidents hardly take place in a smaller town.
No,
And
you're
the reason I
absolutely
think
wrong.
is
These
that-
No,
incidents
that's
take
absolutely
place
wrong.
everywhere. There.
Last month there was 18
okay, I have data. I can tell you in bigger cities. When I say there's a distinction between the bigger cities and smaller cities and villages. There are villages where there is no policeman.
We are talking about men,
And
not
rape
cities.
incidents
Listen,
hardly
we
take
are talking
place.
about men, not cities. So I think it would be, very cross. Actually to distinct that these things happen here, these things happen
No,
there.
I'm not giving any stereotype image. We are just trying to understand as to why this is happening where we have more educated people.
No,
So-
this is not
This is
about
not about
education.
We have wealthy
This is
people.
not about education. See, there are over 1 lakh rape cases
What?
in this country, and how many of them occur in bigger cities? Most of them they just go unrecorded.
No, but in this
he's a
entire
media,
debate,
Shobit
we
is
are
a media
forgetting one
person. He
very
must be knowing. He
important
just
point.
mentioned about one rape case.
What I
There
want
are
to
over
say-
1 lakh rape cases in this country, and how many of them has taken place in big cities? This is just a question I'm asking you, and I'd like to just this is my last chance, I think. So, okay. So, this particular incident, was followed by a mass movement where people came out on roads and streets and they protested, and that is why we are sitting over here. Last month 18 rape cases took place in Haryana, and none of us were talking so seriously about rape case. Rape is not just a similar thing. So
No,
we need to acknowledge this whole movement and need to take forward this movement.
Basically, what Harsh
The
is saying
point
is
I want
very
to make
important.
is-
The point is that the boys, when they are coming out in the protest, while maybe on the bus that they are coming out, they are listening to the songs with a very patriarchal, maybe. While in the same bus on which they are coming to the protest venue, they may be staring at girls. But there is a big divide which this protest has made. Boys in Delhi, I'll assure you, are very, very patriarchal in all sorts of ways, but today there is a wedge in between them, in their hearts. Their humanitarian aspect and their patriarchal aspects are fighting amongst each other.
Yeah.
They cannot decide which aspect to follow, and this protest is empowering them. Why did this protest not, stop after 2 days? Here is an answer. It did not stop because there's something which is pushing them to fight the patriarchal upbringing that they've got.
I feel that this whole thing has affected me adversely. I don't feel safe anymore. I'm in a family with men around me, and so much embargo has been imposed upon me. I used to freely go out, but today I have 2 boys and a husband imposing restrictions upon me. Today when I had to step out, I had to convince them I'm going there for a cause and I want to speak my heart out, and they just don't feel comfortable about it anymore. Earlier, prior to this incident, if anybody would, if ever I would have any unpleasant incident, I would retort. But today, if somebody comes on my face, I just take a step back. I don't have the courage. Unlike Shikha, who said she can now go up to a person and slap. In my case, if somebody comes up to me, I just step back and I don't have the courage to fight about this anymore.
I'll just like to add, this protest has given me hope because Delhi has been a city which I think has been very patriarchal. It's been there have been problems. Eve teasing has been a problem for as long as we can all remember. So this protest gives me hope that finally we are speaking about issues that affect us on a day-to-day level, and maybe we'll get better from here.
I have to stop you there, but only because we're running out of time. I so appreciate all of you coming out. This conversation is just going to go on, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more from people here throughout the next few weeks. If you want to join us online in the meantime, facebook.com/worldhaveyourSay.